There he is. Get up. Yeah. Yep. All right, so that man was not having it, Shelly. He said, "Get your ass up." All right,
he said that, and then he told the other people, "You got something to say? You want some of this too?" And they turned their little happy asses back around too. Look, no, we are not condoning, hitting someone and whatever. I don't know what that man, but I know one thing: that young guy, he stood up. He stood up, and that man, I'm going to guess, that man probably either served our country or he had people that served and possibly even gave their lives for this country. And you got little twits, little ingrates, little ignorant ingrates, they're just so entitled that they want to just thumb their nose up. That man wasn't having it. Again, I'm not saying he should have put his hands on him because it could have turned out a much worse outcome. However, I applaud his boldness. I'll definitely applaud his patriotism.
Yeah, Nicole. I mean, do you think the old man went too far, or do you think this was like, okay, you don't always have to stand up for the national anthem, or do you think pay your respect?
He should definitely pay his respects, and I like to wager a little money here or there, like everybody else on the planet. I got 50 on Grandpa. Peepaw was going to whoop his ass. Make no mistake. He was going to come out that jersey and lube up that tight shoulder. And he was going to put it on that very delicate soy boy, sitting there with his very Parisian t-shirt on. He was going to beat the brakes off that boy and show him what he's working with. Listen, when you've dedicated so much of your life to building a great nation and you get to the point where you should be able to kick back and say, like we do, take your Spanx off. Oh my God, breathe a fresh breath of air, and you got some little twerp who's sitting there during our national anthem, and we just had the whole world visiting us, standing for our anthem, loving everything about this nation. And this little twit's going to sit there. Yeah, Grandpa would have whooped his ass. And the two other dudes who had something to say, you saw they turned themselves around. So Grandpa must have had that smoke on him because he was not playing with him. He was not.
How do we get here, Shelly? I mean, we're all of a certain age. What are we, Gen? I don't even know what Gen I am.
Gen X.
Gen X. Okay. And, I don't remember getting civics class in school, like at least a large portion of it. But I was a poli-sci major in high school, in college. And I remember in high school, we did talk about, American history and things like that. And I feel like my generation still had a love for this country, and it was told to us or portrayed to us by teachers, by professors, for the most part, that we should be proud of America. What's happened?
I think there's several things. I'm going to categorize them, basically a few things. Number one, again, I think Gen X, I think our generation is the last best hope, at least right now. I think I always call our generation that cusp generation, where we still had enough of our grandparents' influence with many of our baby boomer parents, out doing whatever they were doing. Okay. So I think we still have enough old school values. We can still hold that line, but we do have a generation or two that has largely been raised on entitlement, coddling. They were not taught history. They were indoctrinated. They were not taught history, American history, Western, East. They weren't taught those things for the purpose of learning how the world works. They were taught those things for the purpose of tearing down America. Mm-hmm. We were taught, and they were indoctrinated to believe that America, we have too much. We're the bad. We are the great Satan, and Israel is the little Satan. We were taught that. We were taught that it's America's fault that everybody else is downtrodden and impoverished, and we owe it to them. We're supposed to sacrifice ourselves to their benefit because we have just been greedy and all kinds of causing all kinds of pillage and damage. What we were not taught, or that generation, we were not taught that we have been bestowed a blessing. We have an obligation. See, we were told that we have rights, but we weren't told that we have obligations to maintain the benefits, the blessings, the great gifts that God has given us. We weren't told that we should be stewards of them. As far even as it relates to our country, that's not what we were told. So we have a lot of people now in this generation. A number of people, millions of them, unfortunately, are just lost. And I mean lost, not just intellectually. They have no spiritual foundation. They certainly don't have the structure, if you will, not just family, but they don't even have the community structure that we grew up with. Some of us didn't grow up with dads in the home either, but we had a structure that went from the home to the community, churches, other organizations on every corner, certainly in the schools. We had to stand for that Pledge of Allegiance every day. I remember, I don't know what year it was, but I do remember as we went through high school, middle school, high school, there were times where I could tell the teachers were saying, you don't have to put your hand on your heart, but you have to stand, because it was a matter of respect. That's all. You had to stand. So we've lost that. I mean, children today, young people, you can curse out a teacher and it's the teacher's fault. I mean, go figure.
Yeah, Nicole, I mean, Shelley has sort of focused on the younger generation of all Americans. But what I want to ask you is, what about particularly Black Americans? Because when I was coming up, Black folks still, I mean, we understood that racism exists and it still exists. But this was our country. Our ancestors helped build it. Okay. And we understood that. And then we were proud of what we have become, what we have overcome, I should say. You know, that was something that was really drilled in within school and things. It wasn't so much focused on this, the BLM sort of ideas of othering us. And now that's exploded. It's all over the face. It's so divisive. Can we get back to where we were with the way we grew up, or am I just, was a fantasy? Maybe that wasn't the way it was for everybody.
Well, I think that was the way it was for most of us for two reasons. We were not so far removed from the horrible part of racism, the horrible part of prejudice. So our grandparents, you know, although they weren't enslaved, they lived through, some of them, Jim Crow and the remnants of Jim Crow. But the further we get away from that, the less these new generations understand the concept. They're quick to tell you what their quote unquote ancestors lived through, but they're short on fixing the problem. So, you know, we were all taught being educated is important. You carry yourself a certain way because you represent your family. You would not be caught dead outside with a bonnet. You wouldn't be caught dead outside without some lip gloss. You know, I go to the mailbox, and my mailbox is like a quarter mile from my house. Lip gloss, honey, hair did, the whole bit. It's just because we were brought up to understand that although we came from nothing, it doesn't mean we got to stay nothing. So what we see now are these kids aren't getting that lesson. They're not getting the understanding that being Black is more than just a skin color. It's more than just the sum of our parts. Black women are so much more than hips and boobs and stripper culture. We're so much more than that, but they don't value that. What they value is take that, charge that, pay that, snatch that. Everything that we rallied against, things we were ashamed to listen to in front of adults, because we had ghetto music too, but we didn't listen to it in front of anybody that could correct us. We got together in little corners, we listened, and moved on with our lives. The expectations were different. These younger generations don't have any expectations, and they live like that. They live like there's nothing greater than them. There's no God for them. There's no community for them. Their parents, you know, this is just the people who pay the bills and house me. This is why we see these children acting in a way as if no one loves them. And that is the biggest concern that we have as Black America. How do we take this group of children who lost years sitting in the house, playing PlayStation, watching YouTube, listening to music, who were effectively desocialized during that whole scamdemic? How do we re-socialize these children? And once we re-socialize them, what can we do as a community to stop the horror that they lived through from happening to their children? Because as we know, generation curses do exist. And if we don't fix this now, This is not going to be a 1 or 2 generation problem. This is going to be a 5 or 8 generation problem. So we really do need to figure this out. How do we put value back into young Black women? That everything doesn't have to be an argument. Everything is not confrontational. It's okay to get a ticket, because even if you feel like you're right, you can go to court and fight it. Where you're not going to fight it is on the street corner, where you have nothing but your lip gloss and your big hips, with a man with a gun, a taser, some pepper spray, and a gang of other folk who just like that, who will come and tase your ass into submission. Why don't we see the handwriting on the wall? These are the questions that as a community we have to answer, but no one's willing to do that hard work.
Well, one of the things we got to do is push back against this education system, which has indoctrinated many generations. Okay. We got to push back against the culture, and we got to get patriots in office. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, the media is a big issue. They are a big proponent of this indoctrination and the lies and the fake news that we see going around, folks. This is why channels like ours are so important, okay? Because there are not a lot of people out there that love this country, that understand the foundations, founding of our country, and know how important it is, that look like us, okay? And so this is why it's important for you guys to continue to support us. We appreciate every super chat. We also have merch, guys. We have beautiful, beautiful different types of merch. Take a look at this video. What's up, everybody? This is Poppin' Politics. Get your merch. Are you a Poppin' Politics fan? Are you unapologetically American? Or not Black, not white American? We got it all for you right here. Get your merch.
Get the classic shirt. Classic. Goes with everything, comes in a variety of colors. Smart, edgy, conservative, like us, like you. This is a great way to support the channel. Click the merch button.
There is no shame in being an American. You get your shirt today and be unapologetic about it. Get your shirt, wear it, and be a proud American.
You can get it all in t-shirts and hoodies. You can get it in stickers, on bags. You can get it all on our website, metroconservativemedia.com, or our YouTube page, Pop and Politics, and tag over to store. You can get your merch and show you're proud to be an American and support Pop and Politics.